Hello, all, and welcome to the weekly podcast. I'm your host, Gurtej Atwal, and I have my co host today, Harpreet Grewal, with me. We will be discussing a hot topic today that we are facing in our day to day lives. I'll request Harpreet to please share what is our topic for discussion today.
Thank you, Gutesh. Thank you for having me here in the show with this. And yeah, of course, we as we said that we have new topic today. Like we have to discuss. Everybody knows about these things, but we don't discuss or we don't like talk about all those things. So we have today is like mainly we are talking about the greenhouse effect. How are we making this environment change? It is affecting all of us, so we will be watching all those things, that how is it happening. It's like, as I said, everybody knows about it, but everybody has to chime in to stop all those things which is happening in the climate.
Yeah, no, thank you, Harpreet. As everybody is aware, like recently in New Delhi, the capital of India, the Supreme Court, they stopped the schools. The carbon dioxide emission or the environment is not so good for the children or everybody to breathe in the good air. So then if we talk about Canada, recently what happened is in near Vancouver area, there was lots of flood that was happening.
Yeah,
And last year also in that Vancouver area, heat stroke happened. Lots of people lost their lives. If we
exactly.
talk about US, in California, drought situation is happening since a couple of years. So
Yeah,
globally, the environment is changing. So we have to
exactly.
be aware why this environment is changing so that if we are aware, we can take steps so that we can mitigate some of this environmental change. So,
Yeah.
Harpreet, please share with us. So, what is the basis of this climate change?
So this climate change is like, we all, as I said, we know the climate change. We talk about that, but basically, what the climate change is, what is climate change? We know that if we talk about, there is difference between weather and the climate, because weather, when we talk about the weather things, that the weather is like it changes every minute, every hour of day to day life. But when we talk about the climate changes, climate is like it varies from certain time. Like it takes years or months to change the climate of particular that area. If we talk about, it's not like a day by day changes. And that is what is happening with the global warming, which we are saying. We are keep on increasing the pollutions or whatever way we are getting, increasing all those things, gases around us, which is making the climate to go bad by day in the coming days, like whatever we are facing nowadays. As you said, in Delhi also, like the air was not even good for the people to breathe in. And we know about, like, last year, I guess it was, when we had the fires. Like it's almost every year now we have a fires in California and Bay areas, like whatever we have. And because of that, the pollution gets so much into the area, and then we feel it to find the air is not good. But we don't know that we are going to that part only. Day by day we are keep on increasing those things. Like even we are, every single individual is inputting their things. It can be different means, like oxygen, sorry, carbon dioxide, or the pollution, or whatever we are doing. They are putting their own send or like shares to increase that carbon dioxide in that environment, which we
Right.
need.
No, as you said, Harpreet, yeah, so carbon dioxide, all those things, those that are man-made, they are increasing into global warming. So some terminologies we listen on day-to-day basis like greenhouse effect, climate change, global warming, and we will see in our upcoming discussion. So, what are the proofs that we have in front of us that global warming or climate change is there and why it's happening? So, if we talk about greenhouse effect, Harpreet, share with us. So, what is meant by greenhouse effect?
So like greenhouse effect, as we all know, that is it was meant to have like protect us. It is for to protect us, protect plants or any environment. If we know about the, if we take an example, every farmers, not every farmers usually do that. They make a glass sheet of house to grow their plants, and they make a greenhouse effect so that sun rays come in during the daytime, and they get it warmth, and so that plants get nutrition or they get warmth whatever they need it. Because in winters it's really hard to get that much sunlight or things which the plants need to grow, and all those things. Similar things for the human beings as well. We have this greenhouse effect around it, surrounded by us on the earth, which is like affecting. We need that part, but not that much that which can affect our human life. It was, we are, as I said, we are keep on increasing that thing which is harmful for the human beings going forward. So which is like not good for us.
Right. No, that's correct, Harpreet. So it is like our Earth is surrounded by gases which are required for human living to trap some energy so that human life can be sustainable. So the
Yeah.
carbon dioxide that is being emitted from our non-renewable resources like our coal plants or our vehicles which generate carbon dioxide, so
Yep.
that increases that layer, and the energy that's coming from the sun, it gets trapped inside that bubble.
Yes. So as you said that it's like the source can be anything. Even if we are using the energy like the light and everything else, we think that we are not doing anything wrong. But when we consume lot of electricity, say, and that is getting generated by thermal plants, those are the industries which are getting. If we use more, they have to generate more. So somehow, like every pinch or everything counts, like every penny counts. So when we think about all those things, every nitty gritty things, we can make a difference for that. We if we put or we take care of those things, like switching off the lights, not more making more pollutions, or try to use the things which are not which don't need to get reached, like they need more things. Like we talk about the kids, they use the toys, we use all different things, we keep use and we throw it, and then we get the new ones. When we are not using the same thing, we throw them out. In that part, we need more. When we need more, we are asking the industry to make it more, and which is going to cause more carbon dioxide, which is going to affect our environment, which is happening nowadays. But we, as I said, we don't care about those things because we think that we are not adding any part on that part.
Yeah, no, thank you, Harpreet. As you mentioned about carbon dioxide, so there is a layer that is surrounding our environment or our earth. So we are seeing an example here. So I think the more carbon dioxide, that has its adverse effects, as well as if the carbon dioxide is reduced, like the ozone layer, or that is depleted, so there are its own drastic effects as well. So can you share us, so what are the effects of more carbon dioxide, or if that is depleted from the environment?
So yeah, as you are sharing, thanks for sharing the slide. It shows up like, say, if the like, because we should be thankful to the God or whatever we can say, that this that whatever layer or whatever uh, carbon dioxide or greenhouse effect we have around us earth, which is really nice to have that much environment, which is giving us, like on earth we see in the slide it shows 15 degrees centigrade, and an average I'm talking about. It gives you like we can live there. But if it gets reduced by that, the temperature will drastically drop, which is saying at minus 90, I guess. And that is not even good to like livable place to be there for the human beings. Like, and on the other hand, if we say that, which is we are doing, which is if we increase that carbon dioxide or CO2 layer around the earth, which is keep on getting increased, that is going to rise in temperature of the earth. And which is, if you see that in the Venus, the temperature goes to 420 or something, because they have a bigger layer around that, and which is, again, we cannot think of even being on those places. But as we know that, but we, as I said, we know it, but we still don't want to stop it. We have to stop those things, and knowing that this can be ins and outs of pros and cons of those things, if it is there, if it is not there, or if it is more there.
Right, so we should be aware of these terminologies, and we should be talking about them day in and day out among ourselves as educate our kids, so that we can have some mitigation strategies. So there are two terminologies that we have discussed so far. The main is global warming and climate change. So
Yep.
from global warming, we can say that the Earth's average surface temperature that is being built up by the greenhouse gases, it is being increased. And climate change, we can say it is the long term change in the climate that we are seeing. So it can increase the temperature or decrease the temperature. It can increase the what we call it, the uh, we have the ice on our glaciers that gets
They all,
deteriorated, and sea
yeah,
level is rising.
yep.
So
So,
those
like, as I
things
said,
are.
So as you said, the global, because this is as it increasing, it's not like it's only going to lead to increase in temperature. If that temperature is increasing, it connects to everything in the in the earth where we live in. So as the temperature increases, as you said, the glaciers, like all those are, the ice is melting. Which when ice is going to melt, it's going to be in the sea level. So sea level is going to increase, and we have to like connect to one, like what where it is going to. It's not only the temperature which is going to affect the earth, it is leading to, it's like connected all over, this interconnected kind of life cycle, we can say that in a terminology that we can find. It is a life cycle which if you disconnect or if you just move it here or there, it is going to move every part of the cycle, like in the cycle. Yeah.
Right. No, thank you, Harpreet. So, Harpreet, in this slide that we are seeing, so there is temperature difference. Like somewhere the temperature is increasing, somewhere it's decreasing, as we were discussing that sea level is rising as well as the global temperature is increasing. Just share with us so what we are seeing in this presentation.
So yeah, thank you. So this, for if you say this, it's a map for like if it's a temperature which you recorded, like it's temperature from 1884 to 2012. And if you see in the map, the colors dark blue indicates the area which is cooler than the average. Like whatever we need is cooler than that, and dark red indicates the area which is warmer than the average. So as I said before, like it is going to increase the temperature or either is going to decrease. Either way, we are not going to survive on those kinds of conditions. We have to maintain that part. And if you see in that map, everywhere we like either it's a more than dark blue or it's a more than high, like brown, dark dark areas with dark red areas. So either if it goes low or high, it is not going to work for every human being. It is going to affect each and every of us. So, but yeah, we need to take care of all those things. But yeah, so let's see what we can do. And everybody has to be aware. It's not like everybody is not aware. Everybody knows. If you talk to me like without those things, do you know greenhouse effect? Yeah, we know that. But are we doing something? What is really is happening? For now, for today, I will say it's not affecting anywhere. But in the coming time, it is, as we said, the temperature from, if you see the graph, 1884 to 2012, it is changed drastically. Like it is changed from the blue to like or red and then dark red. So the temperatures keep on changing by the time.
Right. Now, nowadays we are everywhere globally, we are seeing some kind of difference. When there was rain, now at those areas, rain is deteriorating, or we are seeing drought-like conditions. And in the areas where there was less sea level rise, sea level is rising, hurricanes in some of the parts of the world. So we are seeing those changes. So, Harpreet, what do you think, or how do you explain that global warming, so the concept of global warming, how it works?
So yeah, thanks for sharing this slide. Actually, it like elaborates really nice that what are the causes, how are we getting increasing on those things. So global warming, as we said, as we keep on increasing the carbon dioxide. So where is this carbon dioxide coming from? If you see in the slide that you're sharing, in when we use the vehicles or cars or any transportations, that emits carbon dioxide, which is going to increase that layer, or it's going to make dense for that layer. And as I said before also, that we are, it's not like only the vehicles or transportations. Even in industry, we are keep on increasing the industries we are asking for more. We are not even trying to recycle or something like that. We are keep on use and throw kind of things. So in that case, we are using those kind of things which we let industry to make more of those things, and which is going to increase the layer for carbon dioxide in the ozone, the greenhouse layer, whatever we have around the earth. So that shield is getting denser and denser, and which is going to increase the temperature. And again, so we have to think of something like whatever, everything which is going to increase that carbon dioxide, or which is going to connect it to those things which which is producing the carbon dioxide. As industry we are seeing there, so industry is producing the carbon dioxide. So we need to check whether we are, whatever we are using, whatever we are doing, it is not going to affect those things, or it is not going to increase those things which can increase, or it can put their hand, okay fine, it is going to increase the carbon dioxide in the layer.
Yeah, no, that is correct. So, Harpreet, fossil fuels, that is the coal energy or the non-renewable ways where we get our electricity and energy. So we
Yeah,
cannot always say that it is the task of the governments or the bigger organizations, but at the lower level, a common man, if he is educated, they can make a difference. Like all the vehicles we are seeing. So we
yeah,
can always use the other modes of transportation, like the public transportation can be encouraged, bicycles can be encouraged, or small, if we want to go from point A to B, which is not that far. So
yeah,
one can be encouraged to walk. And the other thing we are seeing that the trees that are being reduced throughout the area. So we have to plant more and more trees so that they can absorb the carbon dioxide that is being generated by us humans. So we have to think through the other ways like windmills, or the energy can be produced using the sea. Nuclear energy is there. So one is the fusion, that is the older technology, but nowadays there is an other terminology called the fission that is also being researched. So there are many ways we have to think, or the electrical vehicles that are coming at a tremendous rate.
yeah,
So as a mankind, we have to think of other ways, alternatives. If we are educated, we think about these things, then only we can find certain other ways where we can change our habits to reduce this carbon emission. So
exactly. Thank you, Gurtesh, for this.
sometimes
Yeah,
we
thank you
always
for.
say that there is no proof, there is no such thing that is happening, but there is proof, there is information, there is data. So please
Exactly.
lead us into that information, Harpreet. So how we know that there is something that's happening regarding to climate change and global warming?
So yeah, so if you see the slide which you're sharing, thank you, Gurtesh, for that. Like we see the temperature which is changing from 1880. If you see the first graph on the left, which says the temperature increase in centigrade, and the down graph we have 1880 to 2000, which is increasing the temperature. Like it is increased from, if you talk about -4 or -6, whatever we can say, it raised to 1 degree centigrade. And that 1 degree or 1.5 degree, we are not saying that it's a daily temperature. That is what which is getting increased in the global, which is putting more temperature in the global warming all around. So that is increased from 1880 to 2000. But if you see about the right hand side, the graph which is like from the thousand of years, like 400. Can you go over this sorry graph, the second one,
Yeah,
please?
so as you mentioned, Harpreet, for if we are looking at the graph on the left-hand side, that is the temperature increase. So 1 degree of temperature has been increased from 1880 to 2000. Normally, thousands of years it takes to
Takes.
change the temperature or the temperature to increase. But here only in a century we are seeing that 1 degree of temperature has been increased. So that is, I would say, because of the industrialization, or mankind needed that kind of energy to uplift the mankind. But now we are at this stage, we have the research, so we have to stop and think here what alternatives we can use. And if we see on the right hand side, that is the carbon dioxide emission. So on the below graph, we see like 400 years ago, the carbon emission was, it's always, if we see vertically, it's not that much increasing. On the right hand side, we see in 1950, and after that it has grown tremendously. So industrialization, I think from 50, 60 years, we have more coal
Yeah,
plants, we have more vehicles on the planet. I would say every family may have 4 to 5 vehicles in their house, or maybe more. So
yeah,
those things are increasing into carbon emission. So we have to be
exactly.
cautious. We have to think about it. We should not be using those things that we don't need. So we have to change the ways we are doing so that carbon emission should be reduced. And Harpreet, if we call up the glaciers, so yeah, just share with us what's happening to our sea level and the glaciers.
Yeah, sure, Gurtej. So as we know, as we talked about this again before, that the sea level is drastically increasing. The level is, and that's the leading to floods and all those things which is happening in our climate and every. I'm not talking about just US. It's worldwide if it is happening, and that is increasing the flood chances or hurricanes or any chances like that. If you see the picture in that in 1914, there was no much water or no not at all a water kind of thing in 1914. But if we go now in 2021, the same area, if you see, the ice is all get melted, there's water flowing over there, and then that is what we are seeing. Like, we are not seeing the big picture of that which is going to affect us. We just talk about those things, we just know, okay, fine, this is happening, but we don't know really what is happening and how much is going to affect us. And also, thank you for the getting at the point for that. Like, we people are like they need to use the electric vehicles as well, and which is now in a trend kind of thing. People are kind of diverting from the fuels to electricity, and same goes for the electricity if you which you are using in the houses. I am seeing, really this is nice to see that many people are using solar panels nowadays, which is kind of helping the nature. Like, wherever we can put, as I said, every penny counts. If you are doing that part, like you're getting the solar panels, you are not using much emission, much things which are going to increase in that carbon dioxide gas or methane gas, which is increasing the greenhouse effect. So that if we stop all those things, which that can lead to us in the next environment. I know that we always talk about ourselves, but if we keep on doing this, I'm not sure how our generation or coming generation is going to survive with all those chances to be there.
Yeah, no, as here we are seeing the sea level rise. So sea level rise, that is very much impactful. Like
Yes,
people who are living closer to the sea, they are enjoying the sea life as well as they are boating, shipping. So some cities will be gone in couple of years if the sea level will rise at that rate. So here we can see on the right hand side from 1870 to 1990, there was only 1.7 millimeter per year sea level rise.
right.
But on the left hand side, we can see from 1995 to 2013, in almost, I would say, in
20 years of
20
graph.
years, so
Yeah,
3.16 millimeter per year. So
that's
sea level
huge.
is rising at a faster rate with respect to what it was rising earlier. So there is something that is happening now. We have to be cautious. We have to be, so this is the information or the data available with us so that we can be informed something wrong that is happening. We need to be aware, to be cautious, to find ways so that these things should not happen uh,
Yeah.
in future,
But
and
yeah.
climate should be available for our kids for future. So
And thank you,
climate
Gutesh, for
change,
bringing up that graph, because as we are talking about that graph really shows in the numbers, because people now we talk to people, they want the numbers. It's like very general term. If you're talking about something, do you have the numbers? Do you have the realistic numbers? What is happening? And when we show them these things, they will really understand that this is what's happening. And to make
right?
someone understand, this is really needed.
Yeah, no, so
Yeah.
climate change in US, so there are certain things that we can see in our day-to-day life. That drought is very much we are seeing in California and in other spaces. Wildfires we are seeing on day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Our farmers, our crops, so those are devastated. So our animals, they
Yeah.
are getting
The
extinct
species
from,
nowadays. Yeah.
yeah, from all over the globe. So, what do you think about this, Harpreet?
So like this, we, as I said, because we, I can say that because we were good ones, like which who saw all those things. Still, we are seeing all those animals or like kind of species, whatever, are still surviving on the earth. But as we keep on increasing, we talk about these global warming and climate changes and all those things. Those can lead to make these things vanish. They are already vanishing. We are talking about things. If you talk about India or some other parts, we are getting less number of tigers, I can say, or elephants. Like those kind of species, it's not just human beings are killing them. They are temperature or other climate changes, whatever is happening. Because of that, they are not even able to survive on those kind of conditions. And that is all you are showing in this graph, is like these species are still exist, but if this change is not made or this is not done, those are again going to be vanished, and nobody is going to know that whether these species are existing or not.
Right. So now we have discussed, so what are the issues in front of us, global warming as well as climate change. Now if we say why this climate change is happening. So the reason is carbon dioxide concentration. Carbon dioxide is being emitted more and more in this 100 or 150 years. So in this graph, we can say it has increased at a tremendous rates. So on the vertical side, it is parts per million, so from 290 to 410. So that is a huge difference. It's going vertically and increasing exponentially. And with carbon dioxide emission, we have seen that it will accumulate in our environment and it will increase the temperature of our environment, and it will have the drastic effect. So carbon dioxide, we have to make efforts to stop it. Our
Yep.
change to renewable energy, think about how many vehicles we are using, and everybody should be aware so that we can make some changes to our lifestyle so
Yep.
that we can cure it. Or here,
Exactly.
you, what's your thoughts on this presentation, Harpreet?
So yeah, so if we, as we talked about these things, that we don't, sometimes we don't know that either whether we are putting our shares to increase those things, as this slide shows clearly. As we talked about industry, every industry which makes something, and we are almost dependent upon everything. We are not using so many of natural things. Everything which we use in our daily life, they are industry made. Everything, if you talk about your thing, if you look around your surroundings, there are, out of 10, if you see, there will be 9 things which are made in industries. And if we are using those, and if we are not taking care of those things, of course we are increasing the point which is going to the industries which is making so much pollution. We are making, letting them to grow more and more, to make them more and more, which is getting increase in the industries. Same thing as you talked about, that the transportation, we should be not using that much of the transportation like individual or something like that. Transportation should be either public transportations, or as you said, walking or biking, which is like nowadays it's trend. At least something is happening. I'm seeing those things is happening in front of me, like people are walking or using the bikes. That is what we need in order to go forward. What do you think? What else we can
No,
do on
thank you,
this?
Harpreet. So what we have learned is in this coming 100 years, the temperature will increase from 2 degree to 10 degree. So that
Exactly.
will be a drastic change. And we are aware of what the problem is in front of us. So we should be finding solutions by ourselves. So it's not the governments or the bigger organizations. We as common people, we have the responsibility to, if we are learned, we are aware of these kinds of issues, then we only can find the problems and educate ourselves. So with
Yes.
that, Harpreet, I would say that we have discussed an issue, and now it's up to the audience to explore it more, to talk among themselves, educate their children, so that we all are aware what the problem is in front of us instead of blaming one or other, and we all
Exactly.
should find to try the solution of these kinds of problems. So
Yep.
with that, I would thank everybody for listening and joining us, and thank you very much, Harpreet. So before we leave, Harpreet, so what's your message in regards to global warming and climate change?
Message again, one thanks for that message. Like, message is only thing that every penny counts. That's my tagline for that. I can say that because every penny counts. We should be start, not we should not say, okay, fine, we start tomorrow. Every time is like every minute, every time counts. If you start now, start saving, start not input, giving your inputs to those kind of things which is going to lead the carbon dioxide. Stop something which you can do, and then you will say happy, okay, fine, I did something which is good for everybody, not for yourself only, good for the environment and good for everybody. But yeah, thank you, thanks a lot, Sudesh, again for having me here then.
Thank you very much, Harpreet. And again, thanks everybody for listening. We will see you in the next week in the next podcast with a topic that would be informational for us. Till then, stay healthy, stay informed. Thank you.
Thank you.
ਉਹ ਸੰਤਿਆ ਆ GST ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਪਿਆ ਹੈ।
ਉਹ ਬੰਤਿਆ ਜੇ ਗੱਡੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਆ ਤਾਂ GST ਤਾਂ ਦੇਣੀ ਪਊ।
ਕਾਸ਼ ਕੋਈ ਐਸੀ ਡੀਲ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ GST ਤੋਂ ਖਹਿੜਾ ਛੁੱਟ ਜੇ।
ਫੇਰ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਹਫਤੇ ਸੁੱਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਆ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਰਿਲੈਕਸ,
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸੁੱਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਪੇ ਕਰਨਗੇ GST ਟੈਕਸ ਅਤੇ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਰਿਟਰਨ ਟਿਕਟ ਜਿੱਤਣ ਦਾ। ਭਰੋ ਪਰਚੀ ਅਤੇ ਮਈ ਦੇ ਹਰ ਸ਼ਨੀਵਾਰ ਜਿੱਤੋ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਵਾਪਸੀ ਦੀ ਟਿਕਟ। ਪਿਛਲੇ 42 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਵੇਚਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਡੀਲਰਸ਼ਿਪ sukhibatmotors.com।
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਬੁਲੇਟਿਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਗਿੱਲ। ਇੱਕ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਮਾਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਦੀਆਂ ਖਾਸ ਸੁਰਖੀਆਂ ਤੇ। ਕੋਵਿਡ ਦੇ ਓਮਿਕਰੋਨ ਵੇਰੀਐਂਟ ਦੇ ਖਤਰੇ ਦੇ ਮੱਦੇਨਜ਼ਰ ਭਾਰਤ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ